let's talk about Hillary Clinton, because she's one of the players in this for sure. Now, there's an article on the New American, came out yesterday, TPP and the new Clinton email scandal. Hillary Clinton is embroiled in yet another email scandal. This one deals with emails that would show her involvement in and advocacy for the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Now, she's telling us, well, I was for it before, but now I'm against it. It's just a facade, folks. It's just a facade. For those of you in the Democrat Party, don't be misled by this. She is for the TPP. She's campaigned saying she is not in favor of it, but she was before, and evidence shows that she was for it before she was against it. And you can even see that in what the State Department was doing with her. For those of you on the left, those of you who are Bernie Sanders supporters, look at what happened with the Keystone Pipeline. It was the State Department that was under Hillary Clinton that was pushing so hard for that. I mean, even Obama didn't want to spend the political capital to sign on to the Keystone Pipeline. And, of course, that is a massive piece of crony capitalism and eminent domain, giving a Canadian corporation the power to condemn property in the United States. I have no problem with the environmental aspects of using oil. I favor it, but I don't favor crony capitalism and eminent domain by multinational foreign corporations, and that's what that's about that I oppose. We're going to talk about Hillary some more when we come back. Stay with us. Let's go back to Hillary Clinton. Of course, I have this article I just mentioned about how there's some emails that they do not want to have escape. They're blocking these. They're blocking FOIA requests for these emails that would show Hillary Clinton's deep support for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which will destroy not only our economy, but our sovereignty. It'll destroy internet freedom. We've talked about them from Texas, one of them a congressman, one of them the former mayor of San Antonio, both of them the spawn of one of the founders of the racist Hispanic organization, La Raza. Okay, that's what people need to understand with all this back and forth about Donald Trump. You want to talk about La Raza? What if I told you that I just joined a group for white males? I want to promote white males. I want to make sure there's more white males in higher positions. I want to give scholarships exclusively to white males. And the motto of this organization that I have joined for white males says everything for white males. If you're not a white male, you get nothing. What if I told you that was our motto for our organization? Would you say I was a white supremacist? Would you say I was a racist? You would be right if you did, okay? If I joined an organization like that. La Raza, the race. Their motto is everything for the race, nothing for those outside of the race. So don't tell me that this judge who is handing out scholarships to people on the basis of them being Hispanic and illegal immigrants is not biased against Donald Trump, okay? But these two Castro twins, one of whom is a congressman, one of whom is now currently a HUD secretary, used to be the mayor of San Antonio and wanted to try to get rid of the Alamo or completely reinvent it. He's been, the congressman, Castro, has been touring Vietnam with Obama, talking about how they wanted to push TPP. And Obama was on Jimmy Fallon last night, joking about the TPP and talking about how we don't need somebody who's not a serious candidate. You know, Donald Trump really isn't a serious candidate. He does all this reality TV stuff, and you can't take the guy seriously. He's just an entertainer. And then Obama does this to prove his point.
And leadership. Now, I know some of the presidential candidates have been critical of my foreign policy. I don't want to name any names.
He's talking about Donald Trump.
But I believe it is of the utmost importance to work alongside other world leaders. That's why I signed the Iran nuclear deal. And that's why I negotiated the new trade deal called the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP.
Now, hold on there, Press Dispenser. Are you saying you're down with TPP?
Yeah, you know me.
Isn't that great? TPP is now really cool. And it's really cool to go on and talk about how this other guy is just an entertainer. But I'm serious, right? Okay, seriously? Okay, now, besides the TPP, what else is Hillary unauthentic on? Of course, I want to play this for you. We mentioned it the other day. She came out in favor of building a wall and deporting people who came here illegally from Mexico. She said Mexico was pushing people on us. Let's play this clip of Hillary Clinton 10 years ago.
Mexico is such an important problem. Mexican government's policies are pushing migration north. There isn't any sensible approach except to do what we need to do simultaneously, secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary in some places, and we need to have tougher employer sanctions, and we need to try to incentivize Mexico to do more. If they've committed transgressions of whatever kind, they should be out.
Okay, physical barriers. We got to deport them. We got to have employer sanctions, and it's coming from the Mexican government who's pushing them on us. But she's not racist, is she? No, it's only racist when her opponent does it. And it's only a problem when their opponent does live television. But when they do it, they're serious. And they can make TPP sound cool because, it rhymes with so many different things. Don't pay any attention to what's in it, okay? They kept it secret for years and years. Now, but we're told that Hillary Clinton is the first woman to run for president. And as somebody called up and pointed out to us and said, no, we've had Green Party candidates who ran for it. We had Cynthia McKinney. We've also had Jill Stein. And there's been a whole slew, frankly, folks, of women who have run for presidency. Going back to 1872 was the first one. Victoria Woodhull. Women didn't even have the vote in 1872, but she ran for president back then. She was the first person to run for president. So they say, well, Hillary is the first major party candidate to run for president. Because, the other parties don't count. Why don't they count? Oh, that would be because of what the Democrats and Republicans have done to our democracy to make sure that they have a duopoly, that they have a monopoly essentially on power, because it truly is a single party. And so we can talk about who the first woman was or whatever. Does it really matter? Do you know who the first left-handed candidate we had for president was? Or the first red-headed candidate for president? Does it matter? She likes to say, what difference does it make when you're talking about stranding people and leaving them to die at Benghazi? It doesn't make any difference. But it makes a difference when we talk about who the first woman president was. No, it doesn't. It doesn't make any more difference than the first left-handed person, quite frankly. What we need, and what I would like to celebrate, is maybe in my lifetime, the first candidate who takes individual liberty and the Constitution they swear to seriously. Now, that would be something to celebrate. I don't really care about your identity politics that you like to play here. And if you want to play that, we can play the trivia game. We had Libertarian Party candidate Tony Nathan was the VP. She was the first woman to get an electoral college vote. So what? Okay. Back in 1972, had a guy who was supposed to go vote for Nixon said, I just can't do it. And so he voted for the LP, and they got their first electoral college vote. But, what's interesting about Woodhull is the fact that history doesn't repeat itself, but as we've said before, it certainly rhymes. And so I want you to take a look at some of the rhyming issues about Victoria Woodhull, the first woman who really did run for president, and how she lines up with Hillary Clinton, the first major party candidate to run for president. Okay, they're both feminists, both eugenicists, both support, and of course, Victoria Woodhull called it the free love idea. Okay, it's essentially an anti-family agenda. Let's destroy all the conventional norms about family and everything. She called it free love. That's Hillary Clinton with the LGBT movement. She was into occultic religion, spiritualist, follower of an Austrian mystic, okay? Wouldn't be surprised about Hillary. I don't know if she has any religion other than politics. But one of the other things that Victoria Woodhull may have in common with Hillary Clinton is that when she was running for president, she was indicted. How about that? The first woman to run for president was indicted while she was running for president. Now, unlike Hillary Clinton's she was, and her archenemy at the time, and here's another place where history repeats itself, okay? We have an evangelical, a big dog preacher, okay, if you want to call him that. This is a guy who was a very well-known abolitionist. And, of course, this is 1872. It was right after the Civil War. So he'd become very famous during the lead-up to the Civil War. His name was Henry Ward Beecher, okay? He was a clergyman. And he was adamantly opposed to Victoria Woodhull and her free love anti-family agenda. But he was also a prolific adulterer, a total hypocrite, which is another another thing that we continually see, another cookie cutter stereotype. These stereotypes exist because they really are true, folks. So we've got this guy who's a famous clergyman who is this incredible hypocrite. And so they're having this very public argument going back and forth about free love. It's one of the things that she supports as being a feminist. Then she finds out, as one of the many women that he was having an affair with confessed to her husband, that information was taken from her husband to Victoria Woodhull, who also owned the press. And I guess you could kind of say Hillary Clinton doesn't actually own a newspaper, but in a sense, she does own the press, doesn't she? The Clinton News Network, they are very, very friendly to her. She doesn't actually hold stock in them. She doesn't actually do the hiring and firing, but she does own the press to a large degree. Well, Victoria Woodhull actually had a newspaper that she ran as a business. And so this woman who had an affair with this hypocritical clergyman who was at war with Victoria Woodhull confessed to her husband. He went to Victoria Woodhull, and she published details of the affair. They arrested Victoria Woodhull, took her to trial, indicted her, and charged her with sending obscenities through the mail because they said, well, you have published obscene obscenities by talking about his affairs, and because you mailed your newspaper, we're going to get you for sending obscenity through the mail. I mean, you're talking about a stretch. That was a stretch. But anyway, she was eventually cleared. He was actually went on trial from being in a civil trial for charges of adultery. But the interesting thing about it, too, is that it completely took Reconstruction off of the headlines. Just as we see today, they'll focus on the salacious details of celebrity sex. This was 1872. And completely miss one of the darkest chapters in our country's history, Reconstruction, which they didn't want to talk about anyway. Gave them a good excuse to get that off. So if you look at history, isn't it interesting how the stereotypes just continue to repeat themselves?
If I was just gonna attach an idea to it, it's gonna be dangerous freedom.
And don't tell me that I'm a weirdo because I'm upset about this. I'm just sick of dishonorable trash.
Supreme Cobra Commander!
You're failures! You think I'd sell my family out like you, dirtbag?